Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to discuss the three main ways of using the word visit on its own, secondly in combination with the word made, like made a visit, make a visit, and thirdly to pay a visit or I paid a visit, that kind of expression. Now this is where if you're writing in English or speaking English. I particularly have to take a lot of care about these things because I'm an editor and a writer. Let's start with the use of paid a visit or I'm going to pay a visit, because that will help us eliminate various other options. So the great thing about that turn of phrase is that it can be used to emphasize something negative, something dark perhaps. So it all depends on the context, and I paid a visit can be a completely benign phrase. I paid a visit to the bathroom, I paid a visit to my grandma. However, the secret agent paid a visit to his target. He paid his rival a visit. He paid a visit to the drug dealer who was on his block. So these are kind of phrases that add more, other than just saying he visited. You wouldn't say like the MI6 agent visited the CIA agent. If there was something else there, you would probably say he paid him a visit. Saying that, just to make things more interesting, as I say, you can use paid a visit or I'm going to pay a visit in a completely benign way. If you're in Malta, it's best to pay a visit to the blah, blah, blah. Now, the key thing about pay a visit is that it insinuates or broadcasts that there's some reason that you needed to do it. Now, zooming out from the negative and dark kind of vibes that you can give off from using paid a visit or pay a visit, zooming out from that, it can also infer that it was something that needed to be done, or it's something. It's like taking it to the extreme. You could say, for example, paid a visit. The etymology of the word, of the phrase came from perhaps going to the bathroom in a public place and having to pay for it. But when you say I paid a visit to the pyramids whilst I was in Egypt, it insinuates or it infers that it was something that needed to be done. It's almost like saying I paid respect to. So it infers that there was some kind of, not necessity in a real way, but it is something that needed to be done in some kind of opinion, in some kind of way. So I paid a visit to my grandma, I paid a visit to the doctor. Those are all pretty relaxed phrases, but they do carry meaning in that there was some kind of obligation perhaps there. Whereas if I say, I paid my girlfriend a visit, it does mean, it can be taken to mean that there's something not quite normal there. You'd be more likely to say, I visited my girlfriend if nothing was wrong. Okay. So I hope that gives you a perspective on paid. Like I say, it can mean something dark, or it can mean something that also needed to be done in a way in someone's opinion. So in a tourist brochure, you might see, when you're in London, pay a visit to Buckingham Palace. So that should help you eliminate the other two in certain circumstances, and that's the best way to avoid being overwhelmed. So if you've got something that doesn't seem appropriate for what I've just explained, we move to the next step of this filter process. Then we've got we made a visit, or she made a visit, I'm going to make a visit. And the meaning here really is that you've done it on your own initiative. So at the moment I'm working on a book translating Latin into English, a book about ancient Rome, the vengeance of Nero, the death of Seneca, the conspiracy of Piso is the working title. And we have this woman who visited an emperor in order to seduce him very frequently. And I think for this particular line, it's much better to say she made frequent visits. If I say she paid frequent visits, it sounds like she had some obligation, or she owed in some small way or in some aspect. And if I say she visited him frequently to seduce him, that's okay, that's perfectly fine. But I think it's a bit richer and a bit more descriptive, and it fits well into the context to say she made frequent visits to the emperor in order to seduce him. So the reason I feel it's very appropriate there, and it adds something, is that the visits were of her own initiative. She made those visits. They weren't obligatory for her. They weren't invitations. They were something that she created. So visit would be fine there. No one could really argue with using visit. They could argue against pay a visit, because that just wouldn't go there. As I say, she's got no obligation, and there's no sort of negative, I'm going round I paid him a visit to teach him a lesson, that kind of thing. So I hope that is easy to understand. She basically created that visit. When the general was in Panama, he made a visit to the presidential palace. That sounds like that came from his initiative. That sounds like he made that decision and he went there, and it wasn't on the invitation of anybody. And then I guess we talk about the word visit alone, and as I say, that's much a more benign, kind of easy solution in any scenario. If you don't want to take a step, for example, if you're learning English and you don't want to make any mistakes, or you're finding these things a struggle, or you've not quite decided, or you don't want to take the decision. So let's wind it up by just talking about the simple word visit on its own. Again, it depends on the context. The easiest way, as I say, is to rule out the other two uses. So if you use visit, I visited Panama, I visited my uncle, I visited the doctor yesterday, I'm going to visit my cousin tomorrow. If you use that word just on its own, not with the other two options, I don't think you could ever be criticised. It's a solution in any situation, and if you're not prepared to go for any of the other two options, then no one can really argue with you, because ultimately it's your decision how you write or how you present certain information. As I say, the maximum someone can hold against you is that the other two, in certain instances, would be more appropriate if you wanted to enrich your writing or how you speak, at the cost of making it more lengthy and less punchy, and distracting possibly from other points. So I hope this video has been useful. Occasionally I do videos like this on certain words or phrases, just when I happen to think I've got something of value to share. This channel has all kinds of videos on it. Just the general theme is sharing things which I think give value and can be useful to other people. So thanks for watching, and leave any comments below.